Hello, everybody. Welcome to another one of our top 10 for the year. We're doing books this time.
Books!
And my number 10, one that only made my top 10 because I didn't read a lot this year compared to most years.
We really did.
And it didn't make your top 10.
No. I didn't even read the whole thing.
Both of us really wanted to like this, but I liked it.
I
but
ordered that specifically.
I think there were only like two things I read that this beat out. But you ordered this. But Star Trek Creator, the authorized biography of Gene Roddenberry.
That was the problem. It shouldn't have been authorized.
We both love Star Trek, and there are several Star Trek books in our list this year that we read. This one I'd say, it was one of the most dry, analytical, and like overly long. Yeah, it wasn't entertaining. No. There are better examples even in this list of doing this type of book and making it entertaining.
Yes.
Last year and the year before, I read a lot of biographies that were fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this just was not. It was informative. There was a lot of good information.
There was too much
but
information.
It wasn't presented in an entertaining fashion. So this was just.
They had like letters, like correspondence letters, and they would put the whole letter in. And it was like 5 pages long.
Yeah, the only reason it made my top 10 at all was because I did like the information. Like, I enjoyed.
And because we didn't read it.
And it was Star Trek, but so.
Yeah, there were some interesting parts, but they weren't presented in a nice way.
The presentation was not good. So, your number 10?
My number 10, I no longer have because I sold it.
What was it?
It's called The Midnight Library, which we could show in this. No, here it is. I see it.
Midnight Library, okay.
So this was a really fun book. This actually was a book your mom gave to me.
I don't remember what this one is.
This was, she's, without giving anything away, it's a young woman who is having difficulty in her life, and she's kind of at a crossroads, and she's trying to figure out what to do with her life, and she comes upon this library where she can just kind of go through different paths of like, what if I did this with my life? How would this be? And what if I did this with my life? And it's very interesting. It's a little bit dark, but it's really funny, and I enjoyed it a lot, but unfortunately we are trying to downsize right now, and if I'm not going to read it again, it needs to go away.
Yeah, because same thing with video games, movies, we're not going to watch it.
So it went to the Pangos.
Yeah. Next was, this took up a lot of my time this year, part of why I didn't read so many, because my number 9 is a huge box set, and they are like children's books. They don't take that long to read, but they're also like very long children's books, and there are a lot of them. The Oz series, L. Frank Baum. As a kid, I loved the Oz world and everything, but I never read all of them. I think I only had the first maybe 5 or 6 as a kid. I think I
only had Wizard of Oz and like Return
to
Oz.
Yeah, and like the movies, and I love those.
I had Return to Oz.
Well, Return to Oz is a combination of a couple different ones.
Yeah, but I didn't have.
I never had the whole thing as a kid. So when we found this really beautiful box set of the whole thing,
super
it's
cheap.
like I got it. It was like $20 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, gotta get this out, and I'm going to read them this year. All the ones I never got to read as a kid.
I really want to read that.
Which is really cool. So it took a long time to read through all of them. So that was my number 9.
My number 9 was something I love. And I was really happy. I don't know why I never read this, but this is the novelization of Serenity. And there were some things in here that were not in the movie, which I'm mad that were not in the movie. But I'm usually just mad at the movie in general because I'm mad. I was very angry. There was a lot of problems with my heart with this, because it ended so abruptly, and then the movie it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough! But don't worry, more to come later.
Yes. So then my number 9, one thing that we read together, which was again finishing something I never got to finish as a kid, the Dead Time Stories series. We did a whole video about this. I'm trying to remember to link that at the end.
We did multiple videos about this.
Yeah, a whole series of videos about this series, because again, this is one that I read as a kid but didn't have the entire series.
Never even heard of it.
To revisit, we decided to do this because we did Goosebumps a few years ago, and it was just fun going back and being able to, for the first time, finish a series I started as a little kid and never got to finish. So that was really, really cool. So that was number 8 for me. Sorry, 8.
Guess what? This is number 8 for me, too.
There you go.
And honestly, this is my favorite. This is why we grabbed this one. Yeah. This is fantastic. And if you can find this, let me know, because I want another one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this series was such a great series, and I really enjoyed it. And I feel like this could have been made into an adult book, and I would have really liked it. But really fun series.
My number 7 is the novelization of Serenity. And again, I had not read this before either. and I was very
Pleasantly
pleasantly surprised by how good it was. Yeah.
My number 7.
Oh, that well.
You know what? This is Shatner, right? Yeah, this is a Shatner book, which I really don't like.
You usually don't like the way he writes.
I don't think Shatner wrote this book because it says with this other guy, and I think this other guy wrote it. This is Memories. And because usually when he writes things, it's like completely off the wall, rambling, and there are some elements of that in here, but I think this was somebody put this together in a coherent
You're just so against.
fashion.
You're just so against Shatner's writing.
Because Shatner's out of his mind. Shatner's just like, he's like, pat him on the head, it's fine. But this was a really, really good book. I really enjoyed this. This was super entertaining. This was, I think, the first thing I read last year. And then I made you read it. So you're welcome.
My number 6, speaking of finishing things, as we were talking about that, being able to finish a series that we talked about, did a whole video on Dark Angel, Jessica Alba. We watched the entire series on DVD and did a review video about that, and then it was canceled too soon. Thankfully, we got some novels that filled in a few gaps in the story and kind of gave us a little more of a conclusion, thankfully. And yes, I was pleasantly surprised by how good these were, and it was nice to be able to get a conclusion to a series that ends on a cliffhanger.
Yes.
So that really pumped these up higher on my list because I was like, oh, thankfully, got an end to the story.
So my number 6, I didn't think I was going to like this, but I did.
Yeah.
The movie version I actually didn't like as much, which is weird, because the movie version isn't as daunting as this, because this is like a lot, but Battle Royale, I was very pleasantly surprised. I kind of needed like a chart though to keep up with it, because some of the names
All the students,
there were a lot of characters in this, and it was a lot, but I really enjoyed this. This was really, really fun to read, and I would recommend it. It was super fun.
Oh, yeah. My number 5 is Warped Factors, Walter Koenig.
I need to read that one.
I like his writing style very much.
Because he's like a normal human being.
Really conversational and a fantastic sense of humor. I think that comes across in a lot of interviews too. He has a really good sense of humor, and this was a joy to read. This was a lot of fun. Whether you like him from Star Trek or Babylon 5 or just an interest in the actor for some form, I recommend this. I highly recommend it. It's really well done. Just a fascinating look at his life and very entertaining. This is how you do this type of book right. This is really good.
My number 5 is the last book I read this year. It's also a child's, but we've read a lot of children's books.
We did a lot of videos on like those
That's
yeah.
got nothing to do with
Yeah.
that. But I didn't know this was a book. I had no idea. But we're collecting the Gibbles movies.
Yeah, steelbooks.
All of the pretty Gibbles. And so this goes along with it. This is Kiki's Delivery Service. This is the novelization. Really, really fun. Really nice. It feels exactly like the movie, but I like that about it. So I would recommend this. I didn't know it was real, but it is real. And it's a delight. It's just a delight. One of my not as much favorite ones. I haven't watched a whole lot yet, but it's nice. It's fun.
My number 4 is, I was looking for this for a long time, could never stumble across it, but the original book, The Thin Man, that one of my favorite movie series of all time is based on. And this is I really enjoyed this book. This is one of the few cases, though, where the movies actually surpassed the original book. Usually the book is better. But you could feel and see those characters and where they came from in this, and it's amazing. I just think that in the movie, William Powell and Myrna Loy elevated the whole thing with their own personal chemistry that between those two people. But you can feel where the story came from, and this is fantastic. Thin Man, enjoyed that a lot.
So my number 4, we're at 4. This is a classic. For a while, I was going through I would go through articles like classics you should read.
Oh, yeah.
And this was on there as far as like sci-fi-ish type things, like alternative classics. It's called The Chrysalids. And this was really, really well done. You need to read this.
Yeah, I didn't read that.
I've told you need to read this. You don't listen to me.
Usually not.
Stefan's going to read this, whether he likes it or not. This was really well done. I really enjoyed it. It was a very quick read, but it was a kept your attention read. I think I read this in a couple days, with work and stuff. So really fun. I don't want to give anything away, but mutations, and really cool, really fun. And New Zealand.
Well, number 3 is a bunch of kids killing each other. Battle Royale. And I think this is higher on my list because of our experience with the movie, because you saw it for the first time, I think, last year or the year before. But I showed you last year, I think. And I first saw it when I was a teenager, so I think that's
I couldn't have watched that as a teenager.
I think the impact of watching that movie is so much more if you are the age of the kids in the movie. I feel like it's a very different experience. So that's what, and the book is amazing. I think the book is better.
Yeah, I think
even though I
there's
hadn't
a lot
experienced
more.
it before.
It's much more brutal.
Mm-hmm.
The movie does a lot of just gore for the sake of gore.
There's a lot more detail to some of the characters too in this.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of background.
Some things that
you
are
actually
changed.
care.
Some things that are changed from the movie.
Because the movie, I didn't know what any of their names were. There were very few that I knew who they were, but this, you knew who all of them were. They,
so
they had
this
more
was
personalities.
amazing. Really, really good.
Yeah, so now we're getting into our top 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm very angry with you.
Why?
Because this was great.
I said
This
it was great.
The Dark Angel novelization trilogy. First one was so great. I just love the background for Max. Second one was the weakest of all of them. It was just like an episode.
Yeah.
But still, you got some new things. And then the last one.
You need the last one. The last one, the other two, good, but
finally closure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's beautiful. That was a beautiful thing. And this made me so angry because I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm ready. I'm ready for more, and I can't have it. But at least I got this. These were great. I totally recommend these.
I thought you'd be more mad that when I pull up here as my number 2 isn't my number 1.
Yeah, I know it's not. It's not.
my number 2.
Yeah, I know.
But the
you enjoy
big old
yourself.
stack of Firefly books that recently came out that we all read this year, but again, kind of like with Serenity, I love these so much, but it also made me angry that I love them so much because
But I feel like enough
them,
time has passed.
I could see them as episodes in my mind, and I want more.
Oh yeah.
But so that was frustrating. But I'm just so happy these exist.
But you finally got it at the end.
I'm so happy these exist. I don't really like comic books, and comics are fine, but I'm not.
The comics weren't as well
I'm not
done.
a comic person, so I'm happy these exist. So,
Oh.
but that was my number 2.
My number 2 is a series I read a couple years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a David Eddings series, and it continues. This is actually the sequel series, which I did not realize. It's the Malorian, which is 5 books, just like the other one. These were really, really good books.
Amanda really likes David Eddings. So we have
I really
20.
like
We have 20
David
David Eddings
and
books.
Leah Eddings
Yeah.
because she also wrote them. But really, really good books, and I love the series. I love the original series, the Belgariad, and then this is the sequel series, which I did not know, which was really good. I like the other one better, but this was a great read, and I enjoyed it. It's nice to read some epic fantasy every once in a while. It just sucks because it takes so long.
Yeah.
There's so much.
You find one, it's oh, this looks really cool. And it says book 4 of 12. And I'm like, wow, come on.
And it's did they actually make 12? Did it actually end?
Well, they're all 600 pages too, so it just takes so much time.
It really does.
But my number 1 is there's nothing more important than Star Trek. Star Trek Memories. I'm so happy that you read this and then made me read it because this was great. This is the most fun I had reading something all year.
This was really well written, which
really
is why I
enjoyed
feel
this.
like Shatner didn't do it.
You and your Shatner hate, Jesus.
I don't hate Shatner, but it's Shatner. You know what to expect. He's out of his mind.
But yes, I love this book so much. I devoured that book. That was
it was a quicker read than I thought.
That was one of the first things I read this year too, because you read that January, February, and I read it right after you, and that's been my favorite just through the year. Nothing beat it.
Something did beat it.
But
Something
yes,
is
I know
better.
for you, and that was actually I have to admit fairly close for me.
This is Firefly. This is life.
Yes.
This is love. I'm so happy. I'm angry, but I'm more happy and grateful because I feel
That they
like
exist at all. Yeah.
I feel like we finally, over a decade later, got the conclusion to season 1, and this, I feel like we finally got it. It just makes me so happy. I think this is my favorite. I don't know.
They're all
I
so
can't.
good.
They're
Yeah.
so good. They're all just so good, and I love them all so much, and I want to read them again and again. But I feel like there's finally
Yeah, there's ones to read.
the end to the season, and that just makes me so happy because it's finally there. And that's just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But let us know.
Yeah. What are your favorite
What
books
are
that you read this year? What did
What
you go
should we
through?
read for next
We
year?
had such a weird reading list. Oh, next year I already have like a stack of books I know I'll read next year.
Really?
The one that we just got, and there's
True.
the Peter Falk book, Columbo. So
True,
that's
true.
one more thing to read, Columbo. Yes, so much, but yeah, we'd love to hear what some of your favorites and definitely
And
recommendations.
recommendations,
Are
we're
always
always looking for that.
good. Thank you for joining us, and hope you have a good end of this year and a good start of the next.